Welcome into the latest edition of College Football Smothered and Covered. My name is Barrett Sallee, episode 17 of the revamped version of this show. And as you can see behind me, back in the home studio, was out in Colorado and Telluride, Colorado for about 6 days. Really jacked up my knee, got a mechanical knee brace as well as crutches. Got an MRI yesterday, going to an orthopedist on Monday to find out what happened. But I tell you what, it hurts like hell. It hurts like hell. The doctor out in Telluride, they didn't have an MRI machine, but he thought it was something to do with the meniscus or the IT band. Either way, it hurts. It hurts a lot. But that doesn't matter to you. I mean, it doesn't matter to you. Maybe like next week, if I'm on like some painkillers, it might matter to you because I might be goofy, but it really hurts. And for now, I mean, I'm sure you don't care. But what you do care about is college football. And that's why you're here. I want you to be a part of your viewing and listening ecosystem for the world of college football 24/7, 365. So I appreciate you subscribing. Hit that notification button, hit that bell so you know exactly when we're live, when we go up on YouTube, watch on Rumble, whatever, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, wherever. Just subscribe. Hit that notification bell, however you do it, whatever you're doing in terms of consumption. I'll let you let the system know that you want to hear or watch College Football Smothered and Covered. So it is a busy college football week. I missed a lot while I was out in Colorado. I don't think there's any doubt about that. The biggest news to me was the College Football Playoff Board of Managers discussing a possible 14-team playoff. So we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll also talk a little bit about Steve Sarkisian and his bump in pay. We'll talk a little bit about the video game and how, in my opinion anyway, college football players are getting a little bit of the short end of the stick here. And we'll wrap things up with Nick Saban, who I thought was going to be the czar of college football. It certainly seems like he wants to be the czar of college football. But as we go along with the show, you'll see maybe he's not. Maybe he can't be because other people might have taken that from him. The show brought to you by Coastal Vibe Vacations, 850-888-0515, 850-888-0515. If you're looking for a vacation rental somewhere along the Florida Gulf Coast, check out Okaloosa Island, just 10 minutes west of the heart of Destin, Florida. Fun in the sun. They've got fishing, water sports, fun for the family, restaurants, bars, you name it. Okaloosa Island has it for you, and Coastal Vibe Vacations specializes in Okaloosa Island. CoastalVibeVacations.com, 850-888-0515. And hey, if you book, tell them you heard about them from College Football Smothered and Covered. So, all right, let's get to the 14-team playoff. It's going to seem like I might be angry for the next 5-10 minutes because I am. I mean, let's just put this out there. I am angry about this. If you begged and pleaded for college football playoff expansion, but you were worried about what it could become, here you go. It's that slippery slope. Pew, going down the slippery slope. This is exactly what I warned you about. It's exactly what I warned you about. The College Football Playoff Board of Managers on Wednesday discussed the possibility of going from 12 to 14 after the current contract runs out following this 2025 season. And this would include automatic bids, multiple automatic bids for conferences. And I think we all know it would be the Big Ten and the SEC. And look, I admit when I'm wrong. I admit when I'm wrong. And on this show earlier this month, I said, you know what? Great for Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti. They want to be the czars of college football. They're not looking out for their conferences. They want what's best for the sport. Woo! Was I wrong? Was I wrong? Look, you guys, I admit when I'm wrong. I write an end of the season accountability article every single season, whether it was on CFN 15, 20 years ago or BR or now at CB or before at CBS. I wrote it for CBS. If you want to go Google it. Usually I have it pinned at the top of my X profile. I unpinned it when I stopped working at CBS. But I admit when I'm wrong, and I was dead wrong about this alliance because they're looking out for themselves. They want as many teams in there as they possibly can. And look, I understand the idea. They're out to work for their 14 schools, or in Petitti's case, 11 billion schools, whatever. So I get that part, but they don't care about the future of college football. I thought they did. Thought they wanted to be czars. They don't. Look, never has there been more proof than this sentence right here. This is from ESPN. And I highlighted the most important part. The bump from 12 to 14 teams as opposed to 16 would mostly address the issue of access rather than finances. Access rather than finances. What have I said for 20 years? An expanded playoff favors access over excellence. And they're telling you that they only care about access and money. They don't care about which team is the best in the country. They don't care about settling it on the field. They care about money, and money is delivered to them from access. This is what you wanted. And here's the thing. All the people voting for all the fans that want expansion say, well, let's settle it on the field. They don't care. They don't care about settling it on the field. They care about access. They care about money. They're flat out telling you. Here's the quote again. They are flat out telling you that it's not about granting the best team in the country a national champion. They're telling you they don't care. They don't care about settling it on the field. They care about that money. Dollar bill. They care about access because that's what creates money. So if you thought settling it on the field meant figuring out the national championship, no, settling it on the field now for these guys means how do we make more money? Period. End of story. This is so frustrating because those of us who are minimalists warned you about this for so long. And now they don't care. Now they don't care at all. How do you fix it? You can't. Slippery slope. If you wanted this, you got it. We're on our way to 64 teams. We're on our way to a regular season that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter now. They're telling you it doesn't matter now. You may think, oh yeah, they want to award the national championship. No, they're not. Let's look at it again. They want to split up automatic qualifiers. Could the Big Ten and SEC get as many as 4 automatic bids? Those discussions were had. Let me tell you, does the 4th best Big Ten or SEC team deserve a national championship? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And if you say they do, you're telling me that the regular season doesn't matter. And spare me the dumb idea that, they'll be talking about bids and buys. That's ridiculous. A 9-3 SEC team that doesn't make the championship game does not deserve a chance at the national championship. 0, none. It doesn't. It's not excellent. But again, they don't care about excellence. They care about access and they care about money. Let's look at it again. It's the highlighted part of this quote. They don't care. They don't care. It's sad, man. It really is sad. I hate it for college football and I hate it for you, the fan. Because in the BCS era, and to an extent the college football playoff, the four-team era, you still didn't know what every game meant. And that was the beauty. That was a feature. That was not a bug. In week 2, if there was an upset to a potential national championship caliber team, you thought that team was dead throughout the course of the season, but it might not have been. Ohio State in 2014 losing to Virginia Tech in week 2. They ended up winning the national championship. But at the time, it was an abject disaster. It was a failure. It was an indictment of Urban Meyer's team. And that's what makes it so great. Arguing, freaking out, passion throughout the course of the season matters. And I'd argue that the national championship itself is only one part of the enjoyment of college football. And to me, it's not the most important part. It's the 3 months of the regular season. It's the storylines that develop that have really nothing to do with the national championship. Hey, got a big new sponsor It's Breaking Tea. Wear the moment. Check this shirt out. It's Hook'em. It's from Quinn Ewers. Texas fans, you're going to want to see this because this is on breakingtea.com. Hey, if you want to go check Breaking Tea out, breakingtea.com/smothered and covered, breakingtea.com/smothered and covered. That'll get you any college football shirt that you want. They've got viral videos. They come out like basically an hour after something viral happens, something incredible happens. They've got vintage shirts. I mean, I'm a Braves fan. I see Andrew Jones on there. In fact, check this shirt out. When Sid slid, you can get this on the Braves site on Breaking Tea. You can go to breakingtea.com/Braves as well. But this is a great shirt as well. So give them a look. If you're a college football fan, breakingtea.com/smothered and covered or breakingtea.com/Braves. All right. So moving on. Speaking of Texas, Steve Sarkisian, now one of the highest paid coaches in the country, over the 10 million mark. And then there's other stuff built in, like he gets to use the private jet. He gets $100,000 bump if he wins X amount of, whatever, all that stuff, all the regular coaching stuff. Steve Sarkisian absolutely deserves this. Steve Sarkisian is one of the best coaches in the country. And now I know you can look at his record and say, oh, until last season, he was just sort of okay. And look, that's true. But success on the field results in finances. If you go to the college football playoff, if you win a conference championship, you're now worth $10 million or 8 at the very least. That's what the market dictates. And now you may not like it. I may not like it. It might be a little ridiculous to say, hey, 1 year does not make a coach excellent. Well, yeah, it does. It does in the bottom line. It does in his Bank of America account or whatever he uses. That's how things work nowadays. And if you're Texas, if you're that administration, you're looking at him saying, okay, we got to lock him up. We're going to the SEC. We already made the college football playoff. How do we prove that we are married to Steve Sarkisian? Well, you give him 10 mil. And he deserves it. Because now I think most importantly, in Steve Sarkisian's career, you've seen what he can do. You've seen what his blueprint is, and that's winning the battle at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. That wasn't a Big 12 trait back in the day. I mean, certainly you needed that, but they were all about wide open offenses, wide receivers, running backs out in the flat, quarterbacks that could sling it. Not many teams have successfully done what Texas did. And that is win in the trenches, build an SEC caliber team outside of the SEC. And I think we saw week 2 in 2023 that Texas is ready. Texas is absolutely ready for this jump to the SEC. They whipped Alabama on both lines of scrimmage. Now, a lot of those players are gone. I get that. But look at how Steve Sarkisian has addressed that roster. Look at how he has built that roster from the inside out. From the inside out. And he knew this was coming. From the moment he got that job, when they announced that they were going to the SEC, he was like, oh, here we go. Here's my blueprint. Development, the line of trenches, supplement that with the transfer portal, and get some dudes outside that can play. He did it with Quinn Ewers. He's doing it with Isaiah Bond. He did it with A.D. Mitchell. Like, that is exactly what Steve needs to do. So he's worth that $10 million. Absolutely. In fact, I think after this season, you might see him get another bump, and it might be significant. Because right now, I would say this. Georgia and Texas will be in the SEC championship game. And no, it will not be a cakewalk for Georgia. In fact, I think it'll be far from it. So good for Steve, good for Texas, good for that administration for recognizing A, what the market dictates, and B, what he has done to properly prepare Texas for the jump to the SEC, because it's hard. It's hard. I think it is different. It's certainly not what it was when TCU and Utah jumped up from Group of 5 to the Big 12 and the Pac-12 respectively, because those rosters were, there's a big difference between what was a Group of 5 roster back then and a Power 5 roster back then. But I think now And we saw this a little bit with the teams that moved to the Big 12 last year. You're closer because of the transfer portal, because you have more time to figure things out, to sell it to high school recruits. And Texas is a perfect example of how you do it at an elite level. I think UCF's going to do it in the Big 12. Last year, injuries kind of ravaged that team. I think they can be really, really good this year. But Texas has done it better than anybody, at least in my mind, going into a conference that is widely regarded as the best in the business, best in the sport. They've already proven they could slay a monster. And they've already proven they can get just basically anybody they want from the portal. So good for Sark. He deserves it. I can't wait to see what happens moving forward. We'll take a break. We'll talk a little bit about the video game moving forward. And you know what? Those players kind of getting screwed. We'll talk about it next. All right. So the video game. And that break, by the way, is only for audio. I mean, I probably should have said that. That break we just had was only for audio. If you're watching on YouTube and Rumble, you're probably like, what the hell is he doing? That's why. So the video game that we've long awaited for, College Football 25, everything is set up right now, right? They've even sent out letters to current players about what they're going to get opting in to the NIL portion of this. And they're going to get $600. They're going to get the video game for free, and they're going to get a better chance to market the game and get paid more for that. So that means the superstars of the sport will have the ability to opt in to, I assume, will be commercials, viral videos, social videos, all that stuff, which is fine. Like, that's great. They deserve more than that. All of them deserve more than that. Because think about the limited aspect of how much advertising EA Sports can do for this. It's not that much. Think about it a couple years ago with Dr. Pepper. DJ Uyunglele appeared in like one commercial. That's it. Caleb Williams was more involved with Dr. Pepper last year. So look, there is availability for a player, for a couple players, for at most 10 players, if you count viral videos and things like that. Celsius got Bo Nix, Michael Penix, and Blake Corum, and they were everywhere this year. Celsius, by the way, if you're wanting to sponsor something, hook me up. I love it. Seriously, Celsius all day long. But I think that's what people focused on as the supplement to, hey, $600 isn't that much. A free video game's not that much, but they're going to have the chance to do more. Not many people are going to have a chance to do more. I'd say maybe 10 tops. So if you're a second team All-American, you're probably only getting $600 in the free game. And that's for a second team All-American. If you're a first team All-Conference player, but you're not the best couple of players on that team, on that first team, you're probably not going to get an awful lot. You're probably just getting the game for free and getting $600. Now, look, I put this on X and people, whoa, they got to pay X amount of people. They got to pay so many players. It's going to add up for EA Sports. Yeah. So it's a multi-bajillion dollar company. They know this game is going to kill it. They know that. They absolutely know it. Because people have been clamoring for this for what, 10 years now? Ever since the Ed O'Bannon thing happened. So they know it's going to kill it. And like, there is a precedent. I get that for Madden. I think it's like, I don't know, 8 or 10 grand. My friend Brian Finneran once told me, I can't remember exactly what it was. And that was also, 5-6 years ago for Madden, because Finn's getting old. But that's not enough, man. $600. And I know there's this aura and this novelty factor of being in the game. Yeah, that's cool. It's cool for somebody who's not getting a ton of NIL play. Or even is a dude on a roster that is getting money through a collective. Yeah, it's cool that you're on there. That's badass. I'd love to be on a game. But it is about money now for these players. Not totally about money. That's a very small part of it, actually. But they're used to more. They're used to having a ton of money. Not a ton of money. They're used to having more than $600 a one-time payment. I mean, hell, the way things are going, that's going to be a couple tanks of gas by the election. So, I mean, even with $1,000, I would say it's not enough. Now, I know there are people in our world, in the media world, that are like, oh, you just don't understand. They don't deserve any more. Yeah, they do. I got a call to Boomer yesterday right when I was getting my MRI done. Somebody was like, they don't deserve anything, old man. And I was like, this is on X. I'm like, wait a minute. Whoa. You're saying they don't deserve anything, and you're calling me an old man. Those two things don't match up. Because as somebody who thinks they should get paid more, I would say I'm with the Utes. If you don't know that reference, my cousin Vinny, homework for the weekend. I'm with the Utes. Two Utes. Because I think they should get paid. If you think they don't deserve being paid, then you're a relic of the past. You're a relic of the past. Look, I mean, whatever. It's, to me, they deserve more. I know it's a bit multi-zillion dollar company, but I know this game costs a lot. And, maybe, with however many players there are in FBS, that's a lot of $600 payments. I get it. But this idea that the supplemental income generated from this for players marketing the game, again, at most, probably 10, maybe 20 in terms of being in commercials, being in viral videos, all that stuff. So if that's your argument as to why it isn't a big deal, I just don't see it. I just don't see it one bit. All right, last thing in the show. Nick Saban talked to our good friend Chris Lowe at ESPN. Those two have had a good relationship for a very long time. And Nick talked about how he wants to actually be the czar of college football. What I thought Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti wanted to be, Nick Saban actually says he wants to be. And this is an interesting quote, and check this out. I highlighted the most important part. What we have now is not college football as we know it. You hear somebody use the word student athlete, that doesn't exist. And he talks about if his voice can bring some meaningful change and that he wants to help. Great. Absolutely fantastic that Nick Saban wants to help. I think a lot of us thought this was coming. Those of us that have been around the SEC, been around Nick Saban, know that he is about something greater than just wins and losses. And I think part of that has been about his push for a 9-game SEC schedule, his push for 10 conference games and no group of 5 games. Like, he understands, hey, look, we've got to make this about the games on the field, not just paychecks. Which, look, I disagree a little bit with some of that, because I do think that FCS schools deserve those paycheck games, because those fund their entire athletic department. So I disagree with Nick Saban in that regard, but it's proof that he wants college football to be great. And I wonder how he's going to do this, because he obviously has the ESPN contract. But I would imagine, and look, the details have not been disclosed, and they probably won't ever be disclosed. But I would imagine that contract is a lot like Urban Meyer at Fox, where you don't really do anything, but you show up on game day and you do your thing and you go home. And in Saban's case, go back to Lake Tuscaloosa or Lake Burton in Northeast Georgia and have fun, play golf and hang out in the boat. But being a czar of college football, which is essentially what he says he wants to be, or a big-time voice, but they're like I said, it ain't Greg Sankey, it ain't Tony Petitti, it ain't any of these conference commissioners. So to be the czar of college football, to make his voice count, he has to do it on platforms other than game day, because he's going to have to pick games, break down X's and O's. There's no time for that on game day. And look, this is coming from somebody who doesn't get to watch a lot of game day, because for the last 15, 20 years, I've been watching games from noon until 2 a.m. I've got kids. So, in the mornings on Saturdays, I like to do other things. So I don't watch a ton of game day, but I do know, as somebody who does television and has done regular television for a very, very long time, you only get about 3-4 minutes at most to talk about whatever you're talking about. And on game day, it's more like 45 seconds to a minute. So he's not going to have a chance to do that. So it makes me wonder, where is he going to do this? Is he going to have a podcast? I think that's probably the most likely scenario, because if he does want to do this, and let's look at the quote again. If my voice can bring about some meaningful change, I want to help in any way I can because I love the players and I love college football. What we have now is not college football as we know it. You hear somebody use the word student athlete. That doesn't exist. Look, he's right. He's 100% right. But he's not going to affect that change on game day. He's not going to affect that change on ESPN. He's got to have another platform. And I think in this new age of media, I would hope that ESPN, or if it's another entity, if it's a podcast distribution network, whatever, would look at him and say, look, man, if you're serious about this, if you really believe that you can affect change and that you want to affect change, if that's truly what you want to do it for 30 minutes every week. Do it for 30 minutes every couple of twice a week or whatever. Because that, to me, is how he's going to do it. And think about what that could do. Think about what a Nick Saban podcast and a Nick Saban podcast streamed online would do. It would do numbers that no linear television network could even come close to. No chance. Think about what Pat McAfee's done and the dudes over at Barstool. Those numbers are just killing linear television. So to me, that's how Nick Saban needs to affect change. I'm not an executive at ESPN or anywhere else, but if I'm looking at this article from Chris Lowe, I'm saying, all right, man, you're serious about this? Let's do it. Here's how we're going to do it. And it's not going to be your game day appearances. And I'm excited to see what he says, honestly, because Nick is very honest when it comes to issues like this. Is he honest when it comes to players being hurt? Or no coach is. Of course not. Unless you're in the Big Ten where you have to disclose that stuff. But he's honest when it comes to this stuff. So I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to see where it goes. I think Nick can absolutely do it. I think Nick can absolutely be that voice. And we need that voice. We absolutely need that voice. That'll do it for this edition of College Football Smothered and Covered. Appreciate you guys checking out the show. A reminder, check out our friends at Breaking Tea, breakingtea.com/smothered and covered. Great viral videos. Here's the one from Quinn Ewers and those Texas fans. There are plenty of t-shirts from the entire world of college football. So check them out. breakingtea.com/smothered and covered. You can also, if you're a Braves fan and you like this shirt when Sid slid, he is safe. breakingtea.com/Braves. breakingtea.com/Braves. Or Barrett. Either one. Enjoy your Friday, everybody. Enjoy your weekend. Of course, if something happens over the course of the weekend that we need to break into and do a breaking news video, we will do that. Until then, enjoy your weekend. We will see you on Monday.